What if the entire fate of our planet didn't depend on some superweapon, but on a book of nursery rhymes? It sounds completely wild, I know, but that's the whole idea behind the hilarious play, The Book That Saved the Earth. We're going to break down exactly how a massive misunderstanding of Humpty Dumpty actually stopped a full-on Martian invasion.
All right, so here's our game plan for digging into this play. We'll start with how the story is set up, then we'll meet our less than brilliant invaders, look at their hilarious mistakes, and wrap it all up with the key themes you'll definitely want to remember for your exams.
So picture this, we're way in the future, in the 25th century, standing in a museum. A historian is getting ready to show us a recording of a really strange event from the past. An invasion that, well, that never actually happened. And that line right there, that's the big question that kicks everything off. How on earth could a regular old book become the hero of an alien invasion story? The historian tells us that the Martian invasion planned for the year 2040 was stopped cold in its tracks, all thanks to one specific book.
So, what was this incredible world-saving book? You know, it wasn't some top-secret military document or a complex science manual. Nope, it was a simple book of nursery rhymes. And that irony, the idea that the most innocent book imaginable could defeat a super-powerful alien force, is what sets the hilarious tone for the entire play.
Okay, now it's time to meet the so-called masterminds behind this whole invasion plot. The scene jumps over to Mars Space Control, where our invaders are gearing up for their big attack.
And here he is, our main antagonist, the great and mighty think tank, the leader of the Martians. He is the perfect picture of an arrogant ruler. He's incredibly pompous, totally convinced he's the smartest guy in the universe, and just completely obsessed with how he looks, especially what he calls his great and mighty balloon brain.
Now, this slide is perfect because it shows the huge contrast between Think Tank and his apprentice, Noodle. On one side, you have Think Tank, arrogant, loud, and almost always wrong. And on the other side, you've got Noodle, who's humble, respectful, and secretly the actual smart one. Noodle has this clever way of guiding his boss to the right answer without ever hurting his massive ego. For all you literature students, these two are perfect character foils. All right, so the action really starts when the Martian crew lands on Earth. But they haven't touched down in a military base or some big city. They've somehow ended up in a public library, a place that is completely, alien to them.
Imagine being surrounded by thousands of books with no idea what they are. The crew is totally stumped. Sergeant Oop thinks they're in a hot shop and even tries putting a book on his head. Their complete cluelessness about what a book even is just sets the stage for some absolute comedy gold.
From way back in his command center, the brilliant Think Tank confidently announces that these strange objects are actually sandwiches, the main food for Earthlings. He even orders poor Sergeant Oop to eat one. After taking a bite, Oop reports back that it's as dry as Martian dust. Surprise, surprise. Okay, this whole scene is a textbook example of a literary device called dramatic irony. You see, we, the audience, know exactly what's going on. It's a book. But the supposedly superior Martians are completely in the dark. All the humor comes from that gap in knowledge, watching them stumble from one ridiculous assumption to the next.
This is where Noodle really shines. He gently suggests that maybe the books are for communication. So Think Tank, taking that idea, tells his crew to listen to the sandwiches. Of course, that doesn't work. So Noodle nudges him again, suggesting they're for eye communication. And just like that, Think Tank takes all the credit for this brilliant idea. Of course he does.
So to finally crack this code, the crew pops some intelligence vitamins. And what's the book they picked to analyze all of Earth's knowledge? You guessed it, Mother Goose.
So the first rhyme they try to decode is Mistress Mary. To us, it's just a simple little poem about a garden. But to the Martians, they see it as a threatening military code.
And Think Tank's paranoid brain just goes into overdrive. He thinks cockle shells are some kind of high explosive, and silver bells mean that Earthlings are combining farming with mining. He is immediately terrified of this super advanced, dangerous civilization.
So, next up on the list is Hey Diddle Diddle. Again, just a bit of harmless fun for us. But for Think Tank, well,
He is absolutely beside himself. He comes to the conclusion that Earthlings have trained their animals for space combat and are about to launch an attack with millions of cows.
His fear just skyrockets, and he immediately puts the invasion on hold. The misunderstandings are just getting more and more ridiculous.
Okay, so it's all been leading to this. One final nursery rhyme is about to decide the fate of Earth and of Think Tank. This is the big climax of their whole failed adventure. Sergeant Oops starts reading the story of Humpty Dumpty, and then he holds the book up to the camera so Think Tank can see the picture.
And there it is, the turning point. The picture of the big egg-shaped Humpty Dumpty is a dead ringer for Think Tank's own balloon brain. For the Martian leader, the connection is immediate, and it is absolutely terrifying.
He just completely loses it. He's convinced that the Earthlings have somehow seen him, that they know his plans, and that they've written about his future great fall in their books. His giant ego has finally crashed head-on with his own paranoia.
In a moment of pure panic, the great and mighty think tank orders a full, immediate evacuation. He completely cancels the invasion of Earth and tells his entire fleet to run away to Alpha Centauri, 100 million miles away, just to escape the dangerous Earthlings. And just like that, the world is saved by a nursery rhyme.
So after all that silliness, what's the actual point of this story? What is the author really trying to say? When you're thinking about your exams, it's super important to get a handle on the play's main themes.
These are the big ideas you want to remember. The play is really a satire, warning us about how dangerous arrogance can be, and about judging things before we understand them. Think Tank wasn't defeated by weapons. He was defeated by his own pride. He takes everything literally and fearfully. He has information, sure, but he doesn't have the wisdom to see what's real. And that, my friends, is how a dusty old book of nursery rhymes saved planet Earth. The play leaves us with one last really important question. When we come across new ideas or different cultures we don't understand, do we react with fear and arrogance like Think Tank, or with curiosity and wisdom like Noodle? It's a pretty powerful lesson, all wrapped up in a really funny story. Thanks for tuning in.